So, good afternoon, sir. We are the Group 2, and we are here to report about the study on PCI application for Concentrix Philippines Synergy Corporation. So, the first chapter that we will gonna discuss will be the background of the study, and that will gonna be discussed by Jason Saplagio.
So, good afternoon, and I'm Jason Saplagio, and I will be discussing the chapter 1 of background of the study. First is the introduction. What is BPO? BPO is the act of outsourcing some aspect of business operations to a third party vendor or service provider. And then what is call centers? Call centers is a team of outsourced agents who can handle incoming and outgoing customers calls for the business. And then what is PCI compliance is? PCI compliance refers to the technical and operational standards that businesses follow to secure and protect credit card data provided by the cardholders and transmitted through card processing transaction. And then the next one is the statement of the problem. The statement of the problem will find out the main problem of the study of Concentrix Philippine Synergy is what is the application of PCI. And then when and then we have a two sub problems about the PCI. Plus, we made a survey questionnaires to our target respondents, and we did these questionnaires to find an answer on our statement of the problem. And then after we gathered this survey questionnaire, it will be answered in the data analysis. And then for the objective, this would be the main goal of our study. This is to find out the how to secure the customer's information, and then how important to know the proper regulation of PCI compliance to prevent fraudicity, to providing false information, and then extraordinary activities. And then for the significance of the study, who will be the benefit of this study? First is the client. It helps to intensify the security process of the customers regarding their card information. And then for the customers, it is to convince the customers to continue to trust the company of their choice. And then it is important information provided will not be given to anyone else. And then for the companies, it will intensify the transaction between client and the customers. It is a big help to improve their services provided for their customers. And then for the researchers, this is a big advantage to the future researchers to utilize as their reference for their future study. And then for the scope and limitation, it is to comprehend the different elements that can influence the organization in the PCI application. And then for the limitation, according to this study, the health institution and financial institution does not included to our research because we can focus on the PCI application of Concentrix Philippine Synergy Corporation. And then the next presenter will be Miss ARGIN AGAPITO.
Be, naka-mute.
So, again, good afternoon, sir. My name is Arjin Agapito, and today I'm gonna discuss the review-related literature. So, this studies includes ideas, finished studies, and related literature. After the consensus search done by the researchers, this chapter highlights the application of PCI compliance and what are the importance and the following effects of it. So we elaborate different topics in this RRL. So the first thing that we did is that we define first what is payment card industry. In this generation, we are now already improving our technology, and for the convenience of the customer, majority of us are now using credit or debit card. So what is PCI? PCI is where you're gonna store different customers' card information using a different software or system that is regulated by the different companies. And then the next topic that we discuss here in RRL is the application of the payment card industry. What are the process that are done by the company or by the Concentrix? So, through our research, we identified that the application of PCI is where they regularly monitor the every employees that are collecting different card information of the customers for them to secure the card info and to avoid fraud, misleading, or any um, activities, different activities that may done by the employees of the Concentrix in the Concentrix. So the next topic is the negligence of the company in payment card industry. So in this topic, we discuss or we show the following effect that might happen to the company if there will be negligence in their part in complying in PCI. So we stated there the according to CARE 2020, it stated that if the company cannot able to comply to the mandatory or to the regulated PCI, there will be a penalties and punishment to the company. For example, there will be a specific amount that they need to pay for for that productivity, or it may cause the to shut down the company or the Concentrix if there will be a negligence in their part. And then the fourth topic that we discuss in this paper is the importance of payment card industry. So PCI is very important since majority of the customer in Concentrix is using a debit or credit card. They are not accepting check or cash. They are just using their credit card. So it is very important to secure cards information, not only for the success of the business, but not only it is because the PCI is mandatory, but it is because for the security of the customer's information. So if the company can comply to the PCI, uh, uh, there will be a great effect to the company, to the client, and of course to the customer. So that is the next thing that we discuss in our paper. What are the following effects of PCI compliance? So the first part, I mean the first effect that we shows in our paper is under the company. What are the effects of the company? Of course, this will give a good reputation to the company. And it mentioned here that attaining PCI compliance also enabled the organization to take place among other international businesses who are committed and engaged to data security and protecting consumers. And then the next thing that we stated in our paper is, of course, the effects to the customer. So since, like what I mentioned earlier, is that majority of the customer in the Concentrix who are calling in Concentrix in the BPO company is using a credit card. So it is very important to secure their information, because if the customer see that the company is reliable or responsible enough to ensure to secure their cards information, then the customer will stay on that company and will do other business transaction on that company. So this is where the loyalty come. And then the last is the client. So client, these are also known as the investors of the in the BPO company. These are the person or the representative that doing business transactions to the Concentrix. So it is very important to do PCI compliance, because if the clients see that the company that they're investing with is a very reliable, they will continue to invest on that company. And then more client, it means that more profit or more revenue to the company, of course. So that is what our review related literature is discussing about. So the next topic that we will gonna discuss is the framework of the study, and that will gonna be report by Miss Alyssa Santiago.
Thank you, Miss ARGIN AGAPITO. Next is framework of this study. As you can see in the other side of the PowerPoint presentation, there have four theories that will see how the process of application in PIC, PCI compliance that has positive and negative effects of it. So we divide it into four theories. First is the Darwin theory that having PCI compliance will more gain loyalty, that later on it will connect to customer satisfaction theory that more gain loyalty to customers since organization having PCI compliance to their organization. Then lead to M&M theory that it says that effects for the negligence of PCI, that wasting money because some organization didn't have PCI compliance that can lead to fraud, data breach that came to Segwart-Lindersberg theory that also cause for the negligence of PCI compliance for misleading. Next is conceptual framework. Conceptual framework cited in theoretical framework. Here discuss the negligence in PCI, like I said earlier, that data breach, extensive fraud, bad company image, and loss of client trust. But having application of PCI would be have a better company image, customer satisfaction, stronger relationship with clients, and also business growth. Next is reporter Mr. Marlowe Valdepeñas.
Thank you for that, Miss Alyssa Santiago. Good day, sir. Marlowe Valdepeñas, and I'm about to report the chapter 4 of the research paper, which is the methodology. In the methodology chapter of the research paper, in this chapter, it discusses the research local, research design, population sampling or respondents of the study, research instrument, and the statistical treatment of data. In the research locale of the study will be on PCI application for Concentrix that will be conducted through online by sending them questionnaire and through email. And the research design used by the researchers is causal and experimental research. Causal research in order to identify the extent and nature of cause and effect that focus on an analysis of situation. Next slide, please. And next is the population sampling. Population sampling that used by the researchers is the sample random sampling method. It is used to cull a smaller sample size from a larger population. It is commonly used to research for making generalizations about the larger group. And in data gathering of the in data gathering, the researchers will use Google Forms as a platform for the survey. That that is and that will be sent to Concentrix employees and customers who are using payment card industry. The researchers will use the dichotomous questionnaires that will be answered by yes or no. Next slide. And the research instrument that will be used by the researchers is a dichotomous questionnaire, a research instrument consisting of series of questions for the purpose of gathering information and data from the respondents. And in the statistical treatment of data, the researchers use Slovin's formula as a formula to calculate an appropriate sample size from a population. And that would be all for methodology. And the next presenter will be Mr. EIRVINE ONGJOCO.
So good day, sir. I am EIRVINE ONGJOCO, and I will be discussing the data analysis and interpretations. In this chapter, it shows all the results that we've gathered from the survey that we've conducted about different questions regarding the implementation of payment card industry data security standard compliance in Concentrix Philippines. The questionnaire have been divided into two parts, which gives us two sets of respondents. The first is for the Concentrix Philippines employees, and the second one is for the customers who often purchase and have different transactions online. So for the first internal survey question, does Concentrix regularly update and patch their system? 88% of the respondents answered yes, and only 12% of them answered no, which means that Concentrix are doing their best to keep their system updated and well maintained. For the next question, are there any cases of fraud happen to Concentrix? Results have shown in this question that 72% of respondents said that they have not encountered any cases of fraud in Concentrix yet, while a total of 28% of them said that there is a fraud that already happened inside Concentrix. Even though majority of the respondents said no, the 28% of them who said yes is still alarming. That is why, as stated in the study, that Concentrix must strengthen their security standard and make sure that they have to follow and comply to the data security system standard to avoid any incidents of fraud again. So for the next question, are there penalties applied if there will be a negligence in PCI compliance? 100% of the total respondents said they are fully aware of the penalties and consequences that the Concentrix will face if it commits any negligence in PCI compliance. As stated in the study, any company that did not comply properly in the said standard might be subject to a certain penalty. That is why companies that are implementing the said standard, like Concentrix Philippines, must observe and maintain their implementation and make sure that they will not commit any negligence to avoid penalties. Next question. Do clients give recognition or incentives to the company if there will be no cases of fraud in the company? The answer is 64% of the respondents said yes, the company is receiving incentives every time that they have not reported any single case of fraud, and 36% of them said no. The reason why there are 36% of respondents who said no is because they are only new to the company and have not handled big products yet, because most of the companies who are giving incentives and bonuses are the ones who's been part of Concentrix for quite a long time already. And if there's any reported cases of fraud, they will also be affected by it. That's why giving incentives is their way to make sure that Concentrix won't do any cases of fraud again. So for the last question in the internal survey question, is it important to have a PCI data security standard compliance in every BPO company? The answer is 100% of respondents said yes in this question, obviously because they know the good benefits that the company might get when they comply in the said standard. So for the external survey questions, it is answered by the customers and clients of Concentrix Philippines. So for the first question that we've asked to them, do you have any idea what is PCI compliance is? 64% of the respondents answered no, and 36% of them answered yes. It only means that there are still a lot of customers that are not totally aware of what PCI compliance is all about. Concentrix Philippines must do their part to orient their customers that they are implementing PCI standard and all of their information are safe and secured. For the next question, are you familiar to fraud, misleading, or negligence? Majority of the respondents answered yes, with a total of 96%, which means customers and clients are aware of those things and won't probably patronize those companies that had past issues of fraud and negligence. Next question, do you prefer to pay over phone where it will ask for your card information? The answer is 84% of the total respondents answered no in this specific question. Only 16% of them said yes. Probably the main reason why most of the customer doesn't want to purchase something online where they will give their card information is because they are not properly oriented with the companies that they are dealing with. Companies that are doing online transactions must do their best to make sure that clients are fully aware and they are complying to a standard that will make sure that all of their information are safe. Next question will be, as a customer, is it important to have a procedure in securing card information? 100% of them said yes, which means that the customers tend to patronize those companies that are implementing a procedure in security card information more. For the last question, are you insured enough in doing business transaction to BPO companies? 54% of the respondents said no, which means they are still quite hesitant to have a transactions with the BPO companies, mainly because they have not convinced yet with their performance. So BPO Concentrix Philippines have to make sure that they are doing their best to gain the trust and loyalty of their customers. So all in all, it only means that PCI compliance has a good effect in Concentrix Philippines. So for the conclusion part, it is clear and stated that complying to the payment card industry's security standard has positive effect in a certain company, particularly in Concentrix Philippines. Based on the survey results that we have conducted, it is evident that being able to comply in the said standard will provide probably good benefits that will help Concentrix Philippines grow even more.
For the recommendation part of the research paper, recommendation for the company will be tackled first. Based on upon building the key findings of the research, it shows that Concentrix Philippines is compliant to the PCI DSS security standard. However, it is crucial to maintain consistency in complying with the PCI DSS standards to a company like Concentrix Philippines. Compliance with the industry set of standards does not inherently equate better security. Therefore, it is recommended that Concentrix Philippines must emphasize security and risk management to attain and maintain their consistency consistency in complying with the PCI DSS standard to ensure the security and safety of information of their clients and customers. And for the recommendation for future research, based upon building the key findings of the research, it shows that PCI DSS set out comprehensive security standards that was regulated for payment card industry. However, maintaining consistency of compliance with the industry security standards breach is inevitable. Therefore, to further improve the research, it is recommended to construct the same research in a new context of maintaining compliance, consistency in PCI DSS security standard that is most likely to address the limitations of the study within the setting of the specific context that can address the effects of a specific event in a different setting and context. And that would be all for recommendation.
So thank you so much for that.
Anything
Before
addition?
None. So thank you so much for that. Before we end this reporting, we would like to say thank you first to our to Sir Chow for making this and also to my group mate, of course, for making this research possible and making this research effective and informative. So again, this is group 2, discuss the topic entitled A Study on PCI Application for Concentrix Philippine Synergy Corporation. Thank you so much.